Three types of personal loan scams or potential personal loan scams to avoid. What up? You got Mr. Smith, point five of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and in this brief video, I want to just kind of give you a forewarning of some potential personal loan scams that have been used that you can avoid. And, you know, it makes sense when you understand it. So stick around to the end. But if you haven't already, be sure to take full advantage of the free credit class that we have available to you down below, so you can understand the credit game as a whole and how you can benefit from it and win, and understand what things you need to do in order to heighten your score. Now, let's transition into the things that you need to be wary of in terms of a personal loan that could be a scam if you're not careful, because a lot of times people go into different loans because they want to build their credit. And they think that it'll be a good idea due to them being able to have another trade line or establish some new credit, new payment history, things of that nature. But a lot of times people get caught off guard because they actually need the loan money. So these things sometimes come off as favorable, but it can very well be a scam and leave you high and dry and hurt your credit and just your livelihood as a whole due to what can come from it. Number one, you want to make sure that you avoid loans that say no credit check. Now, I am aware that there are certain things that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a scam if it says no credit check. I do understand that there's a new world being emerged in the world of fintech, and a lot of times they may do things that require no credit check, but it's at least based on something, some type of income that you may be bringing in, bare minimum, in order to determine if you're going to get that type of funding. But you got to know what you're up against. Many times though, a no credit check can very well be something that leads you in the rabbit hole of giving your personal information to these entities. Once they have your information, they can leave because they can do some other things with your information that they can make money from. And sometimes they may often ask for a certain fee in order for you to get into it, since it's a no credit check personal loan, which transitions into number two. Avoid personal loans that have different attachments such as fees or collateral attached to it. Fees is basically you having to put up some money in order to qualify for the loan. You're having to pay something out of pocket in order to qualify for the loan. Avoid those, especially if it's not from a reputable source, your bank, somewhere that you already understand what the terms are. You know, make sure you understand that. But fees may be something that you shell out because they're trying to find a money grab, and they know that many people may want access to money in the form of a personal loan. So they're like, let me go ahead and manipulate them and use their circumstances against them and make them want to pay something for nothing, literally. And then as it relates to collateral, that's tying it up or attaching a personal loan to your car, to your belongings, to your home, and all for the sake of getting a loan. But in all actuality, now you've put something on the line that could be possibly taken from you, all because you didn't know and you didn't use your common sense, in a sense, to understand that, hey, this may not make sense if I'm having to put up collateral or pay a fee and I haven't did anything to justify their reasoning of how it will qualify for their loan. So that's number two, something you definitely want to consider. Last but certainly not least, number three. So number one, we said you want to avoid the ones that have no credit checks. Number two, you want to avoid the ones that may have an upfront fee as it relates to fees and or collateral. But lastly, and this is a known one, and a lot of times it hits your mailbox, is this: the ones that are unsolicited, or basically you didn't apply for them, they just came to you. And a lot of times it may come in the mail, it may come in an email, you know, and basically they're just saying, hey, you may be pre-qualified, or you're pre-approved, or you can get this personal loan. Sounds good, and it may sound favorable due to whatever your circumstances are at that particular time. But in our actuality, it could be a rabbit hole of detriment as it relates to you and your credit report and your livelihood, because you gave in to some of these things that you thought were good, but in our actuality, they were just trying to grab money. So that being said, hopefully you stay away from these things, or if you know somebody else who may be likely to fall victim to these things, share it with somebody who you feel may benefit. If you're familiar with somebody who fell for any of these things and it didn't end well, leave it in the comments to let people know it's a real thing. Or if you never heard of this or you're not even worried about it, then I appreciate your time for checking this video out. Be sure to grab your free credit class if you have not already using the available link below. That's all I got for this video. Mr. Smith, signing out. Salute.